So today there are a ton of things that you can do with Google Slides, but I decided to kind of share my top 10 favorite things that I use. And I asked Kathy, I don't know, Kathy, if you got my email, but I asked if you could share something too. So I think maybe a few of the things you already do, if not all of the things, but I thought I'd go through everything just for those who I'm recording for can take a look too. So I am going to share my screen with all of you and go to my Google Slides here. So as I was thinking about what I wanted to share, there's just so much. So I decided to share my top 10 with all of you. And my first one I'm going to talk about is one of my top 10, and that is making a table of contents within your Google Slides. I thought would be really useful for when and if you do have a Google slide deck that you're sharing, that students can access specific sites, especially if there's more than 20. I think it is really nice to use a table of contents so that kids can just click on the link that goes straight to the slide that they're looking for. So these are the 10 that I'm going to be sharing with you, and some of them are really quick, and some of you might know how to do it, but I'm just going to go through each one. So number one is table of contents, and I tried to include at the top of each one why it's helpful. Again, it's great to use for Google slide decks if you have multiple topics or subjects in one deck, and I kind of gave the instructions right there. So if I wanted to create a table of contents like I did up here, all you have to do is let me get off of this, is to click on that, and you are actually going to type in link, and when you link, there is a drop-down menu here under it, and you are going, I have to X this one really quick. You're going to see, you can type in a link, or you could do slides in this presentation, and choose the slide that you want to be the link for your table of contents. In this manner, I'm going to link slide 3 to this and apply it, and then now when I go to present mode, if I click on table of contents, it is going to bring me to slide 3. And if I want to go back to a different slide, I'll probably go back to I like to click right here when I'm presenting, go back to my top 10 table of contents. If I want to click on any of these, like let's say the add-ons I'm going to talk about, I click on that, it would bring me to that slide. So it is a really nice tool for when and if you do have many slides in your Google slide deck for you to use. Okay.
Also nice if you have kids coming or going for math.
Mm-hmm.
Like I had Noah that left every day, so he didn't need to see all the math slides, so he could just pass them all up.
Nice, that's a really great way to use it too. So I include in here, just right click, link slides and presentation, and then select the slide. All right, so I think all of us know how to insert pictures and videos already, and there are 2 different ways, but it is helpful, of course, to make your presentations more interesting. You can insert pictures from any of these places, from your computer, from your Google Drive, from the web, using URL, using Google Photos, and you can insert photos from YouTube, a web address, or Google Drive also. So there are a lot of options when you want to insert photos. You can always go to the insert button to image or video, and if you can see, when you go to image, it'll give you a bunch of places where you can insert the image from. And video, you do have to click on that, and then there you can either type in any type of phrase in there, like maybe you're looking for a multiplication song, you can type that in, like so, and then you'll get a list of different YouTube videos of multiplication songs, and you just click on it, select, and it'll input that onto your slide if I did so. And then you can always change, as you can see, something popped up here, and you can change when you want that video to start, when you want it to end. You can autoplay it when you're presenting, meaning it'll start the video right away. As soon as you click on that slide, you can mute the video. You could change the size of it, or you can always go to the blue boxes to make it bigger or smaller. So I will delete that. So that's one way you can insert a video, or you can just type in a URL if you already know the web address that you want to put down, or if you have a video on your Google Drive, you can always insert it that way too. So inserting pictures and videos, of course, are very useful when you are presenting or wanting to share something. Okay. Next up, I'm very distracted by Jackson right now, so I'm going to pause this and tell him to leave the room. Jax, can you please leave the room, sweetie? You need to go downstairs. I'm presenting something. I'm sorry. One moment, please. Jackson, go downstairs. Thank you. All right. Okay, so, oh, I realized that I just paused my share versus pausing my recording, so everyone got to see me tell Jackson to go downstairs. Anyways, let's go to next to how to make copies. I find why this is helpful is that if you are making a Google Slides deck and you really want to make, use some of the same slides over again, it is really nice to make copies, different copies of your Google slide deck so that you don't have to redo slides every single time. Now there's a few different ways to make copies and why that's useful, but you can also make copies for your students on Google Classroom. And I'll explain that a little bit later. So I have little directions here of how you can make a copy of your Google Slides. I did this a lot when I was sharing the weekly plans for my students. So for example, I had, to differentiate, I would have different math assignments and reading assignments for my students. And instead of making a whole new Google slide deck for my students, I selected certain slides that I wanted all my students to get and just kind of tiered my assignments and include different worksheets and stuff for them. So you can do that by going to File. Hold on 1 second. Oops. File, make a copy. You can make a copy of the entire presentation. And if you do, you just want to rename it something different, you could put it in whatever folder that you want it to go in. And if you want to share those the slide deck, the same slide deck, the same people, you can just click on that and so on also. So you just want to rename that. You can also, let's say I wanted to just share, or if I wanted to make copies of certain slides, you just hold down the control button. And let's say I wanted to make a copy of slide 1, 3, 5, and 7. You just click on those, go to File, and make a copy of those select slides, and again, rename it. So I found it really useful for when I needed to make copies of Google Slides that I wanted to use for multiple groups in my class, but not have to remake the whole Google slide deck again. You can also copy and paste certain slides too. And I'll talk about that when we talk about importing slides, which is next. Does that make sense, the making the copies? Yeah, okay. So importing slides is very, very similar. It's helpful because you can make, again, differentiated instructions, presentations for your students without having to remake them. So instead of making, importing slides is very similar to making copies. You select certain slides that you want. And what's also really nice, I found this useful, like if I found a Google presentation that was not my own, or maybe someone else presented, or maybe, let's say for music, Annabelle had some slides and I want to include those slides in my Google slide deck, I can really import. You can go to File, Import Slides, and I would have to download her presentation first. So I would have to look for a presentation. Let's say, I don't know that. Let's say I wanted to take a slide from my Flipgrid Learning. I click on that and press Select, and then it's going to open all the slides from that presentation. And I click on the ones I want. I'm going to hold that control button down and select the slides I want and click Import. And then those 4 slides are going to go into this presentation. Do you see how it came up right here? So it's a really nice way for you to, I'm going to delete those, take slides from other presentations and put them into your own. And if you even like Google Origami Slideshow or Google Slideshow, a lot of them will have pre-made Google Slides. And let's say I found one really good slide that I liked, I would either download that slide deck, or another option is really you can copy and paste certain slides as long as the privacy settings are set in that way. I can also copy and paste certain slides. And so let's go to import slides again. Let's say if I wanted to go back here. Oh, wait, I'm sorry. Let me do it a different way. Let's say if I went into my Drive and I'm going to open up that Google Slides again. Let's do this one. It's really nice because instead of the import option, what might be faster if you already have the Google Slideshow open is you can copy and paste certain slides into your Google Slides. So I'm going to go, let's say I really like that, I really like this slide, this view option slide. I can right click, copy, or Control C also. copy, and then I go to where I want and I can right click again or Control V, and I copy that slide into this deck. Now, as you can see, when I imported that slide, it says match styles in this presentation, meaning it's gonna match the theme I have, or you can keep the original style, and then it's going to, oops, sorry, I copied 2 slides. It's gonna directly link how I had it in the other presentation. So you can choose if you want it to match the Google Slides theme you already have, or just be the one that you copied exactly from this presentation.
Bernice, are we limited to the amount of time importing videos? Is it under like a 2-minute video?
No, you can import any video you want.
Any length? Oh, that's wonderful.
Yeah, it is. It's really nice, that option that you can really import from anywhere. It's very convenient. So I really like, that's one of my top 10. I use that a lot for differentiation purposes, especially like if there was an open response, but I had different passages for my students. Instead of rewriting the entire open response over again, I just copy that slide with a differentiated reading passage or so on. So editable worksheets, I love making editable worksheets, but I have to say it takes a while. I found because I did not have my parents print, a lot of them said they didn't have printing options. I created I created worksheets for them. So in order to do that, I gave an example as well as some directions. So here I have an example of an editable worksheet that I made. This is Sharps. So I either scanned in a worksheet, I do have a scanner at home, or I had a digital version of this worksheet already. And the first thing that you have to do when you're making a digital worksheet is to change the page setup. Because a lot of my worksheets are 8.5 by 11, right? A normal piece of paper. So you do have to go to page setup and change, go to custom settings, because we don't want a widescreen view or standard view, what you would normally see in a Google Slides, and go to custom and change it to the 8 by 11.5 inches worksheet. And then I press apply, and then my worksheet would fit in here well. So what I did then is go to background. Now, when you're making an editable worksheet, you do need to change it to the background so that the worksheet doesn't move. So you go to background, and I had to make all of my worksheets images. That can be a challenge. I used pdfcandy.com in order to change all of my PDFs into images, and then I would have to choose the image, find the image in my Google Drive, and then, so for example, or I can upload it. So I could go upload, and I'm using a desktop, so I was able to save, files to my computer. And then I would just choose, let's say, multiplication. And I would choose a worksheet. Now you see all of these worksheets I've changed into JPEGs, so I could make an editable worksheet. You can also do the same thing with Google Drive. You can find an image, and maybe I'll type in multiplication. And then let's say I could use, I don't have a multiplication worksheet. I'll just do this maybe. And then I would have to find so let's say this angles worksheet. I changed it into an image, and then I would insert it into a background, and then the page would come up as a background. And then the next thing you have to do is put text boxes and things like that onto your worksheet. So that's where you would use the text box feature. I did shapes, so I would make directions like circle. This is a drawing of a blank and then circle, and I would put a little circle here and say, move this oval to put in the correct answer. This is very time consuming. I admit this took a lot of time to make different worksheets especially for math. I used worksheets for math primarily, but I did it because my students couldn't print, and I wanted to make it easy for them. And so once I created the worksheet, then I shared and made copies onto the Google Classroom. So I do love that I can make editable worksheets on Google Slides, and it is a really good option, but it's also time consuming. And
is it an hour to do one, Bernice?
No, it doesn't. It depends on the worksheet, right? Some worksheets, all I needed to do was make a text box. Math is a little different because I needed them to, like when they're geometry unit, I needed them to draw me a line, draw me a array, And some of them I had multiple choice, then you have to create the circle or the oval for it so that they can move the circle over. And I did have to do 1 or 2 examples. You know, I taught all my math lessons live, so if I knew that one worksheet would be a little difficult for them to maneuver, then I would obviously do the directions with them with me live, and then they would do it on their own. I wouldn't say that it takes an hour. I think it would take me, depending on the worksheet, you know, 15 minutes.
Okay, that's not too bad.
No,
And
it's
then
not.
you
It's
have
just when you, go ahead.
You have the ability to go back and take a look at what they've done, right?
Exactly.
I mean, that's the benefit too.
Right. And so, and then we'll go into that when we talk about how you can make copies on Google Classroom. Although none of our, Cindy, you're not using Google Classroom.
No,
Yeah.
I just think it's really good information to have.
Yeah, totally. So I do think editable worksheets are very, very useful, especially when and if we're distance learning and parents don't have the printing option. So add-ons is something else that I love using with Google Slides. The challenge is that Chris, our tech person, needs to approve the add-ons. Right now, so add-ons are just extra features that you can add to your presentations. And I've gone over Pear Deck before, but 2 other favorites of mine are Unsplash Images and Icons by Nouns Projects, and I'll show you what those are. So to get add-ons, you might have noticed there is an add-on button on Google Slides, and you just click on Get Add-ons. Now these are the 3 add-ons I already have, Nearpod, Pear Deck, and Lucidchart. So Pear Deck I've shown before. You can, and everyone does have access to Pear Deck. Right now we have the premium version because they've offered it free, but that trial is going away, and I don't think it's coming back in the fall for free for teachers. But I do find it really useful to make presentations more interesting. So here, there are a number of things that you can do in Pear Deck, and I'm not going to spend my time going over it, but if you check it on and go to how Pear Deck works, it'll share a lot with you. It's basically a way for you to, again, share Google Slides presentations and have them interactive. I've always used Pear Deck Live, although you can assign it to students and they can do it on their own. I liked the live version. I just pressed Start Lesson, and it would give me a code so you can do it student paced or instructor paced. I always did it instructor pace, and it's a great formative assessment where you can see the responses live and then alter and differentiate what you're going over based off of their responses. So as you can see, you can ask students a question and make a multiple choice question. You can draw on your slide. It's all different things that they can do on your slide deck. And then again, I would make copies, or the live version each gives them a copy, and then it gives you a kind of a chart of all their answers, which is really nice. So Pear Deck is a lot of fun. Unsplash Images and Icons by Nouns Project. I did ask Chris if he could add those on for me so I can share them during our presentation, but he hasn't gotten back to me yet. But if I just type in, and I really like these 3, Unsplash Images, it is just a great network of photos for your presentations. As you can see, it says disabled admin, and he can change that. But again, it's just a really nice tool for you to add some more visuals to your Google Slides. So that's a fun one. And then the Icons by Nouns Project is fun also because you get a bunch of different icons, or even if you want to call them emojis or whatnot, to add on to your slides. So that's a fun one also. Those are not allotted onto our settings right now, but add-ons in general are great because there are a ton of them, and all you need to do is ask Chris to allow an add-on, and you'll see there are tons for you to choose from. Things to make your Google Slides more interesting, and there's very specific ones as well. So I love add-ons. I haven't used them a ton, but I do want to in the future in general, because I use Google Slides in distance learning and in my class generally. So as I said, the sharing in Google Classroom, what I love about Google Slides is the option to make copies, just like a Google Doc or a Google Sheets or not Google Form, because that comes up differently, or Google Slides. You can make copies so that you can see them all at once. So it is a great way for you to create individualized assessments, and it's easy for you. So if you go into Google Classroom, like here's my Google Classroom. This is my old one. And I went to classwork. And let's say I wanted to create an assignment. One thing that I can do is I can add a Google slide. So I'm going to go into my Drive and add a Google slide deck. And usually the Google slide deck will be about like LESS or an LESS topic or a reading lesson or whatnot. It's taking a second. Loading, loading. Let's refresh this page. My impatience. I'll just show you one that I already have. Let's do that instead. Oh, see, now it's taking a while to load. Let me go to, let's do origami presentation. So what's nice about the origami for a Google slide is that you can put in your Google slide deck and then you can change it to, oops, it's not gonna let me do it, I remember. Let me go to a different one, sorry. Let's pick this one. I don't know if it's gonna look, I think I really do have to show you by making a new one. I'm sorry. Let's do it differently. So again, add the Google slide. Hopefully it won't take so long this time. Uh-oh. It doesn't like that. Let's try again. I'll just do a link. I'll link this. So I'm gonna share. I'm gonna copy this link and I'm going to add this link. That's my Google Slides, and here we go. So if I wanted a great thing about Google Classroom is that you can make a copy for each student. So now that they will each get their own individual copy, and it might say like, Cindy, Google Slides Learning, Kathy, Google Slides Learning, and then when I go to look up the assignment, it'll show me all of their different Google Slides and the work that they did. And this was really helpful when I did those editable worksheets, that I would have copies of each of their worksheets. Let's see if it went here, like this grammar worksheet, let's say. I would have a copy of each of their assignments and I can look up each of them because they each have their own copy. So let's say if I have Maxim here, this is Maxim's copy of his exit ticket for the story he read. And I also have another Google slide of a grammar worksheet that I had made. So they each have their own copy of each Google slide. And this was a virtual field trip that they went. So that make a copy is very, very useful for the editable worksheets that you make. And it's great for grading, although it is time consuming still. All right. So one of the last things that, oh no, I have 3 more to go through is how to link. Now, linking is very useful because there's just really endless possibilities. You can link anything onto a Google slide. You just go to insert link and then do a search for something. You can link presentations, you can link slides from other presentations. I haven't used Google Keep a lot, but I added it in here because I think it is underutilized. Google Keep is basically like your notebook. And what's really nice about Google Keep is that it syncs really well to your Google Classroom, but you basically can put notes, reminders, and you can put these notes, you can import, let's say this is just something I wanted to remember. You can import this note into a Google slide. You can import it onto a Google Classroom. What's nice is that, like, if you're just thinking about something you want to share with the kids and you don't want to type it onto Google Classroom, you keep all of your notes on Google Keep, then you can just import those right onto your slides. And it is, I have not used it much, although it's something that I am starting to think about that I would like to use more often. It's basically like your Drive, but in a notebook setting. You can put pictures in there, you can put anything in there and just link it to your slides. So again, the link option is you can either right click on somewhere in your slide and click link, and I've showed you this before, you can link a presentation or anything else, or you can go to insert link. And so linking, you can link really anything that you want onto a Google slide. The next one is download as. I find it's really helpful because you can make individual slides into worksheets, PDFs, JPEGs. You just go to File, Download As. And I found that, let's say I really wanted my students to, I made a slide and had some great information, and I want them to remember that information and share with them again. I can go to File, Download, and I can download it as a PDF or a JPEG or a PNG. Or even a PowerPoint, so that they can utilize that slide anytime that they want, that I want to share. Let's say that from all of this, I wanted you all to remember how to do a table of contents. Maybe I'll just download this as a JPEG so that you can use it on your own, or you can share it out. So I feel like downloading is always very useful so that you can pick and choose what you want to save. That's one of my favorite things too. I think there's a lot that you can do with it that I'm not mentioning, but you'll think of a way. So the last thing, and I don't know why it says that I can, this slide is slipped when I'm presenting. I forgot how to, oh, here, I accidentally clicked on that button. Themes, so I love Google themes. It's really just a way to make your Google Slides look fun. You can go to slide. Actually, you could just click off of it, and then you can click change theme, or you can go to slide, change theme. And it's like this slide, this cute one here, and the other ones I've used in my presentations are just ways to make your presentations look more fun. My kids get a kick out of it, especially if I make them like Minecraft themed or Harry Potter themed. It's like I sucked in their interest. And I put some free, some examples of different places you can get free themes from. All you have to do is click on theme, go to import a theme if you saved the theme to your computer. And then, like, for example, I know that I have a theme called Doodle that I have saved to my computer. Uh-oh, I didn't press Doodle. I just pressed D. And I know that this Doodle template I've used, and I can click on that and then select it, and it'll change my my theme here. So this is the Doodle template. It's a cute one, and I just press import theme. But all of these examples here, the Slide Carnival has a lot of different themes, and I just want to show you really quickly how to I don't download the themes because I feel like it takes a lot of room onto my Google Slide, to my Drive. And so what I would do, let's say I really liked this presentation template, I just clicked on that, and instead of downloading it, I basically just says use as a Google Slides theme, and I would click there, and I click use template. Well, first you can look at the different slides, like, oh, it's so pretty, so pretty. I would say use template. And then I would rename my Google slide deck to say, this is going to be a presentation about flowers. And so it matches. And so now this is automatically saved into your Google Drive with this theme, and then I would just change out things. And that's what I did basically with this one here, was I chose this theme, and it gives you a bunch of different things. Like if I go back here, what's nice is they give you all different types of slides with that theme, as well as different icons. I know this Slides Carnival gives you different icons that you can import into your Google Slides that match the theme, mostly this one here. So that's kind of fun. I love themes, and I like playing around with them. And it's just a fun way to spruce up your Google Slides. And I think that is my top 10. Oh, and I'm out of time, anyways. So hopefully
Thank you,
that
Bernice.
was useful for all of you, and you can take away something that you've learned.